the presentation. Okay, we're going to have a questionnaire after the workshop, so we'll ask you to fill that out as well. Again, you're in the Marketing for Nonprofit workshop today. It's truly a workshop and discussion, and we're thrilled to welcome our panelists for the conversation today. First up is Lori Brown, and I'm going to ask Lori to go ahead and introduce herself. Welcome,
Hello,
Lori.
everyone. Thank you for that quick introduction. I'm Lori Brown. I'm the founder and owner of Aunt Lori's, and I am also a certified business SCORE mentor. I've been with SCORE at least 8 or 9 years, I think now. And recently I have been assisting in the workshop piece of the SCORE chapter. So I've got the background in marketing, branding, entrepreneur. So I came from corporate life, but I like to apply some of what I learned, or a lot of what I learned, to try to help you in my small business adventure. So I hope this is enjoyable to you. And please keep it interactive. Altamise and I like to sort of just talk.
I love it. And with that, welcome Altamise Nicole. Altamise, please introduce yourself to the crowd.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me again. Lori, it is a pleasure to join you yet again for this amazing discussion. So I am Altamise Nicole. I'm the CEO and founder of the Azar Agency. I have been in PR and marketing since 2008, starting with CNN. Worked with many big brands, brands large or small. Some of the large ones include CNN, HLN, Cartoon Network, Boomerang Adult Swim, Delta, Meta. Smaller in scale nonprofits would include some nonprofits in the East, a film festival in LA, entrepreneurs, authors, all the great things. So I'm very excited to be here and to just help you all create some very powerful strategies as we're going into 2020.
Awesome. So as you can see, two incredible panelists here with us today. Again, today's going to be a little bit different, not your typical presentation. It's truly going to be a conversation. And we'll invite you to the dialogue again through that Q&A. Please go ahead and submit your questions. We have a potpourri of topics, truly just about everything we could think of having to do with marketing and nonprofit land. And they're kind of in no real particular order. They're kind of smattering all around all the different potential areas we could discuss kind of intentionally. So, you know, if we move past the area that you have questions about, likely it will resurface again later in the conversation. So again, please put those questions in there. We will get to them, I promise. And again, it'll just be a fun, interactive kind of a discussion today, more than a presentation. So with that, are you two ready for the potpourri of topics I'm about to throw your way? All right. So, you know, given that the audience here is really focused on the nonprofit world, and there's always a hunt for funding and giving, you know, how do you all think about online giving and marketing of online giving?
Go for it, Altamise. I'll chime in as I.
Yes. So, all right. Online giving, if you start there, you've already missed the mark. You've missed the mark. The goal is the heart of the people who are giving. So it's about your messaging, it's about your content, it's about knowing who your audience is and connecting with them. If you get to the right audience, the giving portion will automatically follow, right? So if your focus and intent is, oh, how do I get people to give? Well, first of all, we're online and we're all skeptical of everything because no one wants to be sold to, but yet we're on social media selling. All right. So the key is understanding your audience and making your mission relatable, connecting, like showcasing the testimonials and the impact that you're making in the community, because the people who align with your mission, they want to be there. They want to help. They want to support. You got to connect with them in that way. So start there. Start with the messaging. Make sure your messaging is very clear and you have a very clear understanding of who you're talking to.
Yes, absolutely. And I would add to that that the entire team or staff needs to align and understand that mission, vision, and it has to be authentic. It has to be a true to the heart mission, because people will ultimately, once you align with them, they will donate based on emotions. And you have to have that emotional connection to whether you're selling a product or you're selling your nonprofit. There has to be an emotional connection. So absolutely, but make sure you stay authentic.
I love it. So authenticity and really kind of bringing in the emotional thread for people to understand your impact. I want to get back to Altamise, you said, hey, you really need to start with understanding your audience. What's the first step that we should be thinking about in terms of doing that?
Absolutely. Start with research. It's actually more active listening than anything. Because you would have, you can easily assume, oh, if I don't know if you guys have heard of building personas, but you want to know your audience. You want to kind of have some research and data on who they are, and what tensions they have, what's their day-to-day life like. We can assume those things based off of the research and data that we have. But one of the most powerful things about social media is that people share. They're literally telling you their lives, and if you're listening while you're putting out the content to see like how they're engaging, what questions they're dropping in your DMs, how they're responding to content from you, you'll learn the things that matter to them, and you'll be able to adjust and pivot as necessary. Because yeah, we go in thinking one thing, but if you are actively listening to the people that are connected, who have opted in to your message on social media, following you, you can find some really good nuggets in terms of like the things that matter to them, and then creating campaigns around those things versus, you know, creating a campaign 6, 7 months out, sticking to it when really audience is saying, this is what we care about. And
I think too, if I can add to that, is I'm kind of a big one on networking and being out in the community. And so that's kind of how you get in front of your potential audiences. And when I say audience, it's either going to be someone that's a donor, or even if you're looking for board members. So for instance, if you're running a food bank, you probably want to join some kind of, or go attend cooking classes, go to school for cooking. You're going to be around foodies, somebody that's involved in the community that likes food. Those kind of people would tend to be maybe your market. If you have an animal, like for instance, I'm an animal lover, so I would probably natural, if I'm running like a humane society type thing, want to be around and go to functions like down in Harbortown or wherever you are in Charleston that have animals there and people, because odds are the people that are in those type of events are going to be someone that's going to align with your mission and your vision. So make sure you get out and about and look for groups that you can interact with, join associations that would have a like-minded individual members that could potentially align with your nonprofit.
I love it, because so
the
often we
third,
think
fourth.
about, ooh, go ahead, Altamise, sorry.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. But yeah, I second, third, fourth, fifth, everything that Laura just said. I think that, social media is a complementary component to exactly what Laura just said. You can do all the things on social, but if you are not known in your community, if you are not going to the events, if you are not advocating for your mission in person, in those moments where you can connect one-on-one or even in group settings, you're gonna have a struggle online.
Yeah,
You're gonna have a
because
struggle.
when you're in those group settings and things, also remember everybody's always got the phone with them. Start taking some pictures around, because there's your content, your free content that you can post on your website, on your social media. And it's all about building that rapport, that trust, because if they don't trust you, they're not going to donate. They are not going to trust, they got to learn you, they got to understand you. And that's how you build that rapport to ultimately even gain board members. That's super important.
I love it. So getting out and about, and using that as it's kind of like your marketing foundation. I love this because you're right. So often I think we get sucked into, oh my gosh, I have to think about all these different platforms on social media and be posting all these different things. Well, it all starts with authentic content, Tatsumis, as you said too. So great place
Right.
to get that is in real life at different
Right.
things that tie to your mission.
And if you're beyond the local, maybe you're already seasoned into that. You know, there are always like outside events. Like I just enrolled in one in Charleston, so that's, you know, a couple hours away from here.
Okay.
But I get to meet new people. They get to know me. So if you're ready, start branching out into maybe regional, if you will, and then you even get different and new content that you can use for newsletters and donor base. And collect while you're at these events, start collecting emails, right?
Yeah.
Altemise for your
Oh,
database, because that's how you do your email
wow.
marketing.
Yeah.
Email marketing is gold, for profit and non-profit. That is what you own. That is yours. They have said, yes, we like you. Email
Mm.
me. You know, that is an invitation that is bold when it comes to connecting with your audience, your people.
I love that. I was going to kind of go to email marketing next and really ask, where do we start? What I'm hearing you all say is, well, first start with building the authentic connections with people. And that is the sort of nexus of your beginning of your list that you can start to use for email marketing. What else should we be thinking about in terms of just, hey, I don't have an email list today. I really don't have my email marketing game together. What else should I be doing to just start?
If I wouldn't suggest starting and buying email lists. I mean, I don't know how ultimately they're expensive. Usually they're not refined to your audience. A good way to start again is back out in events and run a contest, have a booth, have a table. For instance, the Alzheimer Walk is in a couple weeks. My therapy and dog and I are going to be walking, and odds are there's going to be multiple tables there of all the sponsors, and they're going to have little things for you to sign up and put, you know, win or whatever. And that's how you get a like-minded individuals putting their name in your little jar there. And then they've expressed some type of interest to you. And that's how you slowly start to build your email list. Or you run a contest or things as you get more advanced online. And Altemise could probably speak more to that. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And please remember to be patient with yourself. Be patient with the process. Social media makes it look like it's overnight. It's not overnight. A lot of these companies these brands that have overnight success, it's overnight success that happened in 8 to 10 years. Like, it's literally, be patient with yourself. So the best way to start with your email list is to just start. And here's a caveat too. If you run ads on Meta's platforms, Meta Technologies, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, you can have an ad objective for email list where you can build your list where people can automatically opt in based off of the ads that you serve up, right? So I always recommend, if someone's doing an ad and their email list is not that strong, start there, because you're literally doing an ad, you're running an ad that will literally have so much more return for you, because you're coming away from that ad, once that ad is complete, with emails for people who have opted in, which then you can take off platform, go into your email marketing tool, add those emails in, or have it integrated into Meta already, and then start to communicate with them well beyond the completion of that ad. So just be patient with yourself. It doesn't happen quickly. You want to make sure the people are just right and in alignment with your mission and your brand. Makes the donation super squishy and easy. So just be patient with yourself in the process.
Make sure on the bottom of your website and every page there's a pop-up that says, you know, sign up here for news or our newsletter or be in the know. And they opt in on your website, no matter where they are, or on your Facebook, you know, your page, that they can opt into your list. That's also a real good way. And while we're on that, make sure your website is very well done and professional. That's kind of
Yeah.
the first start for any business or nonprofit. You have to have a well done professional looking website, because again, it goes back to building trust. And
I
you're right.
love that. Oh, Lori, I'm going to come back on websites in a hot second. I do want to, there's been a couple of questions or statements that have come in. I love Altamisa, you said like, don't go out and buy a list. And someone seconded that, saying being bought by an email list is a quick way for a company to be marked as spam for me. So yep, we totally agree with that. Kind of on the email list, one question was, how often should you organize or kind of clean it up? You know, sometimes those email lists can get a little bit unwieldy, especially for a small organization. Any tips or tricks, or the regularity that you should be maintaining that list, for lack of a better term?
Well,
Yes.
part of it
So,
is they
oh,
prune
go ahead, Lori.
themselves off. I know that
Mhm.
unsubscribing is kind of scary. I hate when someone unsubscribes. It's almost like it hurts my feelings, but it's going to happen. You just kind of, we've talked about this before. For every 5 that unroll, maybe 2 drop off. It is what it is. They come in for a coupon or whatever, but ultimately you'll end up with a core group that'll stick around, right? So I don't know as far as how often. I really don't do a whole lot of that. It sort of self-manages itself, but maybe Ultimate says some tricks.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Lori, I look, unsubscribe to me. Look, if you are not, we don't need you in the community if you don't want to be here. So like, I see it as like, thank you. It's a thank you, because you're taking up a space that's very valuable. That could be someone who wants the information, right? So we typically encourage our partners to do a quarterly check-in. Just do it, send out it's a how are we doing? Are you like a kind of survey style? And that last one is, I would like to unsubscribe. And we do it every quarter. We do it every quarter just to do that check-in, right? Because you want to also remember that there will be some people who are silent on your email list, mostly because they're there for a very specific reason. Like they're there for a specific reason, and if the emails aren't giving whatever that specific thing is, they're going to be quiet until they see it again. Like until they see the campaign or whatever have you. So you'd be surprised. There are some lurkers that are intentional lurkers that have a mission and goal in mind, but they're like, no, I don't need that stuff. I don't want that stuff. I want this. And that's also where segmentation comes in, paying attention, that active listening to your audience.
Yeah, you should dribble out emails to them just to kind of keep in front of them. Don't wait till the,
Yep.
the giving Monday or Tuesday, don't focus on just that one day. You should be dribbling, if nothing else, it's top of mind, so they just don't forget, or they know you're still around.
Is there a cadence that you found, like a sweet spot? Because I hear you, like you want to keep in front of them, but you also don't want to do too much, because that's when you're going to have maybe more unsubscribes. Is there a sweet spot?
So, Lori, I don't know if you found one. I think it depends on your mission, it depends on your brand, and it depends on how you approach your email, right? Like if you bring in humor, you give them value with it, they're not gonna mind it if you come into their inbox, you know, 2, 3, 4 times a week. They're not gonna mind it because there's value add to it. But if you're just coming with informational, did you know, like, at that point, you then start to move from value to, like, I don't want to call it spam, but like they're not going to pay attention. The attention of them, clicking and actually making an action, it's going to go down. So you have to be very intentional, and just learn how people are engaging, because it does vary. It does vary a lot.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, as far as nonprofit too, you might not have a whole lot of, I mean, you want to definitely announce if you have new board members,
Right.
definitely if you're hosting or sponsoring an event. That's an awesome way to get, I know that sometimes this is money, but that's an awesome way to get out in front of your audience. It's an awesome way to build trust, great way to get donors, great way to get board members. Um, but you don't do that a whole off, so if you're running an event, odds are you're going to be hitting in front of them at least once a week until the event is over. But yeah, I don't think there's any real super sweet spot, but you don't want to get annoying because they'll just turn you off and
Right.
they'll unsubscribe. Oh, let's kind of do the 80-20, but that's more from my retail side. 80% of the time I'm in front of my potential customers with, I'm not selling anything, I'm not pushing anything, I'm just giving news, I'm giving updates, I'm giving product updates or event updates or where Aunt Lori is going to be next or whatever. And then 20% of the time, hey, we got a Christmas sale. Because if you push, sell, nobody likes that. You're just going to turn them off.
Wow.
And then you become ingenuine, and then you've lost at that stage. So it's a fine line. You got to stay in front of them, but don't be annoying.
I like that 80-20 rule. I've heard that in so many other contexts, but this is the first time I've thought about it in this. I love that. Lori, I want to circle back to the website. You brought up the importance of the website, a professional looking website. Again, so many nonprofits are super small. They might not even have a website yet. You know, where does one start?
Well, you should, I know it's expensive sometimes to get help having someone, but I actually did that because pecking at it by yourself, it's going to look like an amateur did it, and you don't want that. So invest and get some help. You can contact SCORE or Altamis or someone. We can give you a few references. But in a nutshell, when you look at someone's website quickly, what the top half of your website, you should have the exact name, your logo, the phone number, email address, and when somebody looks at Aunt Lori's, they should know right away it's a mission founded with, a company founded with a mission to help people with disabilities, and it's gift baskets. And they should get that in like 30 seconds. If they don't understand what you're doing, where you're at, 30 seconds, and they got to scroll to the bottom of your website, you've already lost them as well.
Yep.
So I can give you that, your colors, all the marketing stuff we teach, but your logo, your phone number, and your mission has to be very visible and very well done. And then you take that, your consistency across all your other social media platforms and newsletters and flyers and anything you're doing, your shirts, whatever is consistent with that theme and that color, that messaging.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I second that. It's a part of your startup cost, right? So you want to make sure that, yes, it is an investment, but it is worth the investment. Can't tell you how many times people have come to us with, wanting a website refresh because it's just, they try to do it themselves, or they, hired someone on Fiverr, didn't really fully understand what they were doing. So they didn't check behind the person who was working on Fiverr, and SEOs messed up and all kinds of things are not in alignment. So you want to make sure that you invest in your website, because that is kind of like that credibility and that moment of truth where people, after you have fun and talk and engage on social media, they're going to your website. If you get press, they're going to your website. If you are at an event, they're going to your website. The first thing people do when they hear is what? Google you. They Google, and what pops up? Your website. So you want to make sure that you invest. And Lori touched on like colors. There are marketing psychology behind the colors. So don't select colors based off of what you like. Select colors based off of the psychology of the colors, what emotions they evoke, and how it aligns with your mission. Because all of that plays a part. And then it is holistic across the board. I should never go to I should never see an ad that funnels to social media that has something totally different. Messaging is off. I don't, I see your ad and it's telling me that I can help this amazing cause. I click your website and I'm like, what? Like, I don't understand why it's disconnected. You have lost me immediately. So you want to make sure everything.
I love that point about, making sure that there's that continuity across and that it is the credibility establisher. If people haven't heard of your nonprofit, great way to make sure that it looks credible, and it has to start there.
Yeah.
I like that point. let's say that I have a website, you know, I'm kind of more in the more maturing a nonprofit space. I got something, it's not really working for me optimally. What do I do with that? Sometimes unwinding something that has been in place for a while is even harder than starting from scratch. Like,
Mhm.
again, what might I do in that situation?
Yeah. Go ahead, Lauren. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. First, just because you have a website doesn't mean anyone's even going to find you, because there's so much behind a website, you know, your search engine optimization, which is SEO. We've talked about this before, but there's a lot of that behind the scenes to play the Google game, is what I call it. Because just because you pop up a website for your nonprofit, odds are no one's ever going to find you without it being very well done behind the scenes. So you're going to need some help, especially as you get mature, and you're building that reputation. You're going to need help, bottom line. So I would definitely build that into the budget. And analytics, we are big on that as well. Watch your analytics. You have to have someone watching the data, knowing, is the website successful? Are they clicking? What are they clicking on? What are they not clicking on? Who's clicking? Where are they coming from? What state? All those little data points are important to you. Because if all of a sudden you see a lot of people clicking from Charleston, you're thinking, whoa, wait a minute. Maybe we need to do a little bit more marketing, or sponsor an event over in Charleston, because we're certainly getting a lot of people on the website from Charleston. We weren't even thinking about that. So watch your data, watch your analytics. If that's not your bag, have someone that's good at that in your organization. But keep an eye on those things, because then you can tweak your website according and get your messaging in line. And I don't want to jump off this website stuff, but back to what Altamie said, that everybody, when they see you, the social media, they ultimately end up at the website. Wherever you're at, make sure you have a business card. I know if you're a nonprofit, but I was at a networking event 2 days ago, and I asked two different individuals. One was a banker, one was a lawyer, and neither one of them had their business card on them. And I'm like, how do you run a business? Because so right away, you know, I wrote his name down, but I'm like, what, you know, anyways, you make sure you have your business card with you, or a badge, or your car has some type of signage on it with a very clear website phone number on it. So that when people do go back into their office or back on the phone, they can find you. And then that website becomes super important.
And maybe even a QR code that takes you to the website, right?
The
Scan it.
website. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
I did that yesterday. I was at a sign and they said, scan for more information. I scanned and it didn't work. And I'm like, well,
Mm.
so anyways, double check everything, I guess, is my message.
And
You can.
as you're double checking, make sure that your website is mobile optimized, because most people are not checking things on desktop. They are on the go and they are on their phone. So a lot of this is very common, especially if, you know, the founder or the executive director or whomever is responsible for that, they are kind of a one man, one woman show, and they're trying to do it all themselves, and they totally forget to make sure that it is website optimized. A lot of things are mobile first these days, so don't forget that.
It's
Love
important,
that.
because the data that I just was speaking about, as I look at Aunt Lori's data, I see that 80% of my customers are coming in on a mobile phone, 20%, or
Right.
like 18% are laptop, and the other two are like an iPad. But then I look a little deeper into that and I see 90% of those people are females. So guess what? Where's my marketing going when I'm running ad? It's going to females. And then I make sure it's optimized for mobile. So right there are two little niches that you just pay attention to.
Yeah.
Yep.
We've had
And
two.
Lori, that is right. That is right on industry standard. Industry standard is that 80% are mobile, 20% are not. That's right on target.
Love that. Reminder that from the crowd that Hi Hello has virtual business cards and they're free. So in case, you know, again,
Mhm.
investing in paper, that's money out the door. So you don't even need to do that, which is great.
Absolutely.
And let's see, a general question. Have you observed any specific marketing tips that are different for nonprofits versus for-profits? Love that.
Hmm.
I'm gonna step in here and just noodle around. That is a great question. No, no. And the reason is because you're still marketing to humans. You're marketing to the same people. You're marketing to people. So it is the same. I think the difference is probably one is mission driven, obviously, because of a nonprofit. One is more driven by profit sharing. But outside of that, the marketing approach is the marketing approach. It is the same. It's also the very reason why the fundamentals of your business foundation, whether it be your startup costs, whether it be your P&L statements, whether it be all of those things, whether you're a nonprofit or for profit, it's the same. You still have to have an itemized list of your program, how much it's going to cost, how much will you pay your facilitators, how much do you need to do this to request from your, you know, your grants. It's the same. So there is very little difference because you're still marketing to the same people who's buying products or donating to a cause.
Yeah, it's the same, maybe a teeny difference, and it's LinkedIn is more business professional. So I would definitely say you need a LinkedIn presence for your nonprofit, and then connect to groups of like-minded individuals or other nonprofits in your same, or groups that, you know, on college campuses or whatever, align with your mission. But a LinkedIn, but you do that for business as well. So yeah, you're right, it does.
Yeah, I was
Just
just about to
an
say
overlap,
this is just as important.
similar. Yep.
Yeah, it's just as important whether it's B2B or B2C. You still need that presence on LinkedIn because there's a whether it be for collaborations, whether it be for opportunities, just general presence and awareness that the brand exists. You know, Nike is a product based brand, but they have a presence on LinkedIn. You know what I mean? And as they
Mhm.
grow, the company grows. You still need the same.
Maybe this is a good jumping off point to talk about all the platforms. So we've hit on
Another
email
tip,
and
just
website. That's
I'm
great.
sorry,
But
it's random. It
I
keeps
mean,
coming in my head, but
yeah, we've got
I go
TikTok
back
and
to,
Twitter,
yeah, TikTok. Yeah, you gotta
all of the
watch
things.
all of that. Pick, because it's overwhelming
A
if you have,
lot.
you don't want to do it all. So you want to pick one or two channels, if you will, that would be most likely, and that gets back to knowing your audience. So if your audience is older or more mature, maybe TikTok isn't the best. I don't know, so don't try to do TikTok and then, pick one and get good at it. Now there are softwares that help you post once and do multiple,
Mm.
but if you want to do quality over quantity, pick one or two that you believe after your research would have odds are have the more audience aligned with your mission. I would suggest that, and use your data, your contents, efficiently, if you will. But don't spatter it all out and do a poor job, because that's not good either. It's fake, basically.
Yep. And I'm going to add, um, you want to ensure that you reserve your handles everywhere. Again, you want to make sure that you reserve your handles everywhere. Otherwise, someone else is going to have your IP. Someone else is going to reserve that handle. And if you ever need it, it's going to be gone. And they're going to ask you to pay them a crazy amount of money to release the handle, or you just won't have it and you have to get creative. And that would totally mess up your messaging when people say, "Where are you?" And then you have to say, "Well, we're here. This is our name on Facebook, and this is our name on Instagram, and this is like reserve the handle everywhere." And to Lori's point, you're going to have one or two that are your staple platforms. Those are the ones where you lean into, and everything else is maintenance. Everything else is maintenance. And you may even have one that you don't use at all, but you have that handle. So you own that handle. No one else has it but you and your organization, because that's the name of your organization. I can tell you, brands, really large brands, have had issues with their handles and getting their handles because they failed to reserve the handles up front to ensure that they have them just in case they need them later. So definitely do that. And I would also say that with make sure that the platforms too, as you're engaging, follow the trends of your demographics of your audience, right? Because every single platform,
Mm.
we use them differently. I don't go to LinkedIn with the same mindset that I go to Instagram. I'm on both. I'm on both. And someone can connect with me on both, but how they communicate to me on Instagram is going to be totally different than how I am expected to receive communication on LinkedIn. So keep that in mind as you're leaning into your one or two.
Love that. So I loved your point about reserving the handles. Ha I'm struggling with, there are seemingly so many new platforms that pop up every now and again. Like, what, boy, it seems like another job that I have to monitor all the possible things and then jump on them. Like, how do you think about that? Or when is the right tipping point of like, oh, this one, Threads was relatively new. Like that one seems to be taking off. I
Yeah.
should jump on that.
Yeah. So that there's a fine line because those who are early adapters to those platforms, those are the ones who in a couple years, with Threads, who hopped on Threads immediately and was just like, oh, let's just try this out. They'll be the ones with massive impact on the platforms because at that point, early adapters, you have to connect with people who don't really have much of a choice. So we're all connecting and all engaging and testing and figuring things out. But I also think of Clubhouse. If you guys remember, Clubhouse was pretty popular at one point, and everybody jumped on that bandwagon. And if you think about it now, you very rarely hear of Clubhouse or Twitter Spaces. We don't hear about those things anymore. So I would say as long as it aligns with your mission and what you do and your audience is there, don't be afraid to test it out. Test it out, see if it works. It is you have to be strategic and intentional with your social media content because it's talking to people. So you don't want to just leave them hanging, which oftentimes happens where people we engage, we create content, and then we leave. Like you make the post, all of the effort is in the content, all the effort is in the posting, and then you
So
post and you go. You go. And there are people that's like leaving comments or, dropping into messages and you're leaving them. And it's like going to a bar and being like, hey, I'm Altamise Nicole. I'm the CEO and founder of the Azar Agency. It's so nice to meet you. Okay, bye. And like walk away. While the person's like, I'm gonna learn more. And you're like walking away. It's the same. So be intentional. Be intentional with your content. Be strategic with your content. Don't post and go. Like your work actually starts after you post because it's about community and it's about building and cultivating community on these social media platforms. So create your content and stay and engage and build relationship there.
super helpful. Because again, I think we're so into like, oh, the big lift is the content. And I have to really be intentional about the content. And yet you're so right. It's what happens after is when the work
After.
starts. I love that point. We got a question about, okay, so we get it. Love this. The handles should match. Great. What about profile pictures? Or kind of the brand representation, if you will. Should all of that look exactly the same? Yes, they say. They're loving that.
Doesn't have to be, well, when I say exact, I mean the logo, the name of the company, your phone number, your address. So many times I go on websites, especially Google, and if you're going to business, your listings, everything has to be consistent. Or Google thinks you're not legitimate if something is
Yep.
awry, and then your potential donors and customers are thinking, well, why is this phone number from Michigan and this one's from California? Where are they? Everything should be definitely consistent. They call me the purple lady. I'm always in purple. If I show up in green, people think I'm sick. What's wrong with Aunt Lori? She's in green today. And it seems funny, but it's just, McDonald's. We all know what the color scheme is. I mean, right? It's a visual.
Yeah.
things. So if you're from the Palmetto Animal League, I'm using that example, the logo should be the same, the phone number should be the same, everything is consistent because it's subliminal. I mean, people just remember it. And then when it's time to make a donation, they'll go, you know what, I'm an animal lover. I've seen Palmetto Animal around. I'm going to donate this year to Palmetto Animal because they know you or they feel like you.
Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes, 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 and yes. I can't tell you as a publicist how many times I've done research and tried to create collaborative opportunities for my clients, looking for events, etc. And I get so confused. Like, is this the same company? Like, is this the same person? I don't, oh, I'm not even going to pass this along because I'm not sure. Like, it would literally, and reporters do the same. Reporters, if you are in the space where they want to interview you or talk about your mission or anything like that on the news, on the local news or in the local newspaper, that stuff matters. You have to be consistent. And may I say, and this is slightly off topic, but I have seen so many people, brands, nonprofit organizations have these wonderful campaigns, and because they don't see the results how they want to see the results, they immediately switch it up and say, "Oh, this isn't working. Let's go here." Consistency across all things. If you may think that your campaign isn't working, I promise you, there are a lot of lurkers like me. I will lurk. I will see your stuff. I will even nod and be like, "Yeah," and not give you my like. Will not hit the heart. I'm just gonna be like, may even save it. I'm like, let me go back to this. But I'm paying attention. Stay consistent. Don't worry about whether or not the results look like how you look. Follow, finish the play. Finish it. Finish it. Follow it through and be consistent in that because that matters. Whether it's the social media handles being the same, that matters. The pictures of your profile being similar, right? You may want to adjust, something here or there, but it needs to, whether I am on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, I should know it's you. I should know it's your mission. I should know it's your brand. Um, and the campaigns. Because if I come and I've connected with you on one thing and 2 months later you completely change and you have modified like and I can't even find what I was looking for, I'm out. I'm out. I can't even find the program anymore. Did you not keep it? Like what happened to the program? Wanted to join on Wednesdays. What? It's gone? Literally. And then I'm like, well, that's why I wanted to be here. I'm out. So just be patient. Be patient. Follow the finish, make that play, and finish that play through.
Maybe this is a good part to talk a little bit more about measuring marketing strategy and exactly to this point, how long do we give certain things before like actually figuring out this isn't working and we should change? Because I'm so sensitive to your right, not changing up the message too much, but maybe more broadly, marketing strategy. How do you think about measurement and how are you thinking about tracking success or when it's time to make a change?
Yeah, give people 4 seasons.
Mm.
It's a relationship. You don't jump in a relationship with someone and then expect them to give you the world in 90 days. That doesn't make any sense. Give them 4 seasons. Give it time so that way you can get the data that you need because even, data within 30, 60, 90 days can be considered premature based upon whatever that campaign is, right? So if it's cold leads, you got to nurture those relationships. It's just on digital. It's just on a digital platform, which actually makes it more difficult. I have a better opportunity of connecting with Lori that first go round in person than I do if I found her online and was like, hey, I would like to be your friend. You have a heavier lift online in nurturing those relationships than you do in person, which is why you should pair them together. which is why you should do the networking events. You should do, because that way you're solidifying those relationships in person that then trickle down into social media. Your advocates are already there. They met you in person. So they're going to be your people that are going to engage with you. They're going to talk back with you. They met you. They experience the brand. They experience the nonprofit in person. So the trust factor is already there. And then by other people seeing that, oh, there's a trust factor because these people are engaging. Okay, maybe I should too. Do you like it? And then the other person's like, yeah, like you should go to this event and blah, 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 blah. Like, so give them 4 seasons. Give them time. And now after 4 seasons, I am big on people hate change. They don't like change. It's human nature. They don't like change. If you realize something isn't working, don't wipe it clean and start something brand pro. Make those gradual changes, those gradual updates that where it's not so jarring that you lose people and you have to all the way over. You make them gradual, do pivots rather than complete wipeouts. Those wipeouts are harsh because there are some people who literally love what you do, right? And they're connected. And then all of a sudden you change up on them because the data is saying this. They fit in that data. You know, they're there. So like do slight pivots so that way it's more digestible as they be like, oh, you did that? I don't like it. I'm still like you guys. I don't like that. That's how they respond.
I think if I can add two back to the networking and alignment, that is, don't be afraid to connect with similar, I guess, other nonprofits, because more than likely you can share donors, share board members. I'll give you a good example. Just personally, I'm an animal lover, and I also have a soft spot for people with disabilities, and I have a huge heart for disabled military. So there are multiple organizations, whether it's Wounded Warriors of the Low Country, Leader Dog for the Blind, you know, and animals. And so if I'm at an event or I join multiple, there's crossover there. So don't be afraid of what you're viewing as a competitor, because there's usually lots of overlap and lots of space for like-minded individuals to support both of you or all of you. So don't be shy with that. And it goes to retail. If you want to even liken it, you'll see a McDonald's, you always see a Burger King. If you really pay attention, there's always more than one fast food, because odds are you're going to go to McDonald's one day and Taco Bell the next day, but they're always very close. And it goes the same with a nonprofit or even in retail business. I'm not afraid of I keep an eye on them because I got to know what they're up to.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love that. And there's room for everyone. There is room for everyone. You know, before identifying someone as a competitor, see them as a potential collaborator, right? Of course, you want to protect your IP. Of course, you want to protect, you know, the core things that make your programs unique. But there's power in collaboration together, and together we go further than saying, oh, I don't want to connect, or you may take this and you may, and even if they did, they don't have your sauce. They don't have your sauce, Sue. So it would be different. So I would just, yes, I echo everything Lori just mentioned. There's space for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, you look at events. I did a yoga like triathlon thing or whatever it was, but it was Connect. So there was nutritional people there, exercise people there, and by the way, we donated money to the turtles. So you know, you got animal lovers, you got you know, so there were like-minded people there, and guess what? We all kind of got along, and now I support the turtles and I support yoga, and you know, so don't be afraid of it, I guess.
You're multifaceted humans with lots of interests, right? So yeah.
And odds are when you're at these events, I go back to events, you're going to meet those people that have the similar backgrounds.
Yep.
Well, we have maybe about 5 minutes left and still a lot of questions. I wanted to leave space for both of you to maybe hit on a topic we haven't yet talked about that you think is really important. And if nothing comes to mind, I have a few other little questions to ask, but wanted to leave space in case, gosh, I really wanted to talk about this and we haven't talked about it yet.
Let me think about that. You first, Altamise.
I'll chime in here. So I tapped into this a little bit at the very beginning, but planning,
Mm,
right now is one of the best times to just do 2025 planning. And we often think about it in terms of like from a budgetary standpoint, but you can also do this from a content perspective, from a event perspective, know which events you're planning to go to, which then if you know your events, you can automatically say, okay, well, social media has to support this. Email marketing has to support this. That helps you to build out content ahead of time, right? Of course, things will have to pivot, change, tweak here as you get closer to May 2025, July 2020. But the more proactive you are, the more clarity you have going into the new year, and the more confidence you will have, honestly, when it comes to execution.
nice.
Rose.
Good old Q4, setting us up for success in 2025. Love it.
Yes.
Lori, anything popping up for you?
We didn't touch, and this is one of Altami's good category. Hashtag.
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
Yes, when you post and you hashtag, don't make up some hairball hashtag. They gotta mean something. So hashtag food banks or hashtag, and then Altamise can explain the importance of that. But don't make up some hashtag that's got nothing to do and nobody knows what the heck it means. But then that's a way that you engage with people on the same topic. So Altamise can explain it better than I.
Yes. Okay. So don't make them up, and also check them. Just like, click and see what content is on associated with those hashtags, because sometimes you will be surprised on what other people are talking about using those hashtags, and you just aligned your brand with crazy conversations. Check them, click them, engage with people, because obviously if they're using the same hashtag you have, they're more than likely a like-minded individual in some capacity. It gets your brand out there in a very organic, natural way. Because if I see someone commented on my post and I'm not connected with you, I'm going to get very curious. And I'm going to say, who's this? What's this organization about? And then that means they go to your profile, they check out other posts. Like, hashtags are living, breathing content lanes. They're also a part of SEO now. Use them wisely. Use them wisely. You should have staple hashtags that are also SEO tags on your website, right? Those are those branded ones. So that way it all connects. It all connects. They're all in cahoots with each other. Facebook, Instagram, Google, they're all in it together.
Nice. I love the reminder to check the content. Ooh, and it's always evolving too. So even if you're like, oh, this hashtag means this for now, great. Like, do yourself a favor and check
Check
a couple weeks from now. Make sure
Yeah.
it
Make
evolves.
Yeah, the other thing I would add is make sure the team, everyone in the organization, volunteers or paid, board member, whatever, that they understand the mission, the vision, they can speak, they're professional. I guess that's consistency, but avoid, you don't want somebody that's posting for your organization that has some type of reputation or has, avoid politics, avoid profanity, all that. But if you've got somebody that's connecting your organization to something you really don't want to be related to, somebody needs to monitor that and make sure it's filtered and trained.
Yeah, we did a nice
Yes.
job last one before that, in a prior session, talking about the importance of social media policy for a nonprofit board and for the nonprofit in general. So we did talk about that. So I'd encourage the group, if you need a refresher on that, definitely go back to that content, because I think it's such a point, because you can get into a lot of trouble with that these days.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
And
by
it should be
accident.
written. It should be written. There should be a guide, a guideline, something. That person who's engaging on your behalf, your nonprofit, they are technically the face and the voice of your nonprofit organization. So there needs to be very clear guidelines of do's and don'ts, what you say, what you do not say. People, you know, if you do block people, when is it appropriate to block people, right? How do you engage in difficult conversations? Those things need to be documented.
I love it. Well, with that, we are at time, which I can't believe. So just wanted to do a huge thank you to both of you and to the whole group for their questions as well. Lori Altamese, you're the best. Really good conversation. We could have talked for hours, truly. We are in the midst of our series. We only have 2 sessions left. Can you believe it? I cannot. Next one, state compliance, financial, and red flag topics. Certainly maybe not as fun as marketing, but definitely something that we should all pay attention to, no doubt. Haven't had enough of Altamese. Guess what? We have one more session in her series, the Ezer Agency, on November the 12th. So would highly encourage you, if this got you starting to think, please join us for that. That'll be another fun conversation. If you are interested in SCORE, please join us as a volunteer. We're always looking for more folks that have skills in different areas that can add to our collective. Of course, follow us on social media. We got our own marketing game here going across all the platforms. Hopefully they're consistent. Again, a huge thank you to Coastal States Bank, our sponsor. This is funded in part through a cooperative agreement with the U.S. Small Business Administration. All opinions, conclusions, and/or recommendations expressed herein are those of the authors and don't necessarily reflect the views of the SBA. So with that, again, thank you both. What a great discussion. Truly so much fun, and look forward to seeing you, Altamese, on the 12th. All right. Thanks, everybody.